find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So you're off in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen. Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
Say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is enjoying himself watching. And the Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the iGPFun League, a league that's been running for over 20 years and a league that always produces extremely fun racing. Of course, my name is Bradley Dalton, and joined with me today is not Mr. James Parfit. James Parfit still away on holiday. Hopefully his wife hasn't shoved him in an ocean somewhere. But of course, it is Dean Biggles who's going to be joining me here today, and we are going to be looking at the Super Formula Lights here in IGP Fun with round 3 here in Austria in the Red Bull Ring. Probably one of my favorite tracks as a very diehard Formula One fan here in Spielberg. 4.28 kilometers, a lap that a Formula One car does in just over a minute, and these Super Formula Lights are doing in about 1:20. And a track that overtaking opportunities are plenty. The chance for fireworks is everywhere. And to be frank, if you watched Formula One today, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say fireworks and passing opportunities everywhere. But we'll see how things go. The points have been very, very close. Things have been very, very fun. And I am excited to see what these 34 Super Formula Light cars we have on track can bring us together. And that's enough of me kind of talking about this track. It's a track everyone knows and loves. Mr. Biggles, good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening. Welcome back to the Sound of Music, my friend. This is the third time this week I've been to the Red Bull Arena. I guess it's because the drivers were stoked, as you'd mentioned, about the Formula One. Had a sprint weekend as well, too, in the Formula One. But yeah, definitely recommend to go and either watch the highlights or watch the whole thing if you get a chance. If you haven't seen it yet, well, no spoiler alert, of course, for everybody. But 33, 34, 35 maybe potential gladiators will take it to the arena here this evening.
Yeah, it's a track where the hills are everywhere. I like this track because there's so much elevation change to it. This is not a track that you really can just sit nice and flat. It's not a Silverstone that has maybe a couple of kilometers or a couple meters of change. I'm an American. I don't think of meters and kilometers all the time. But look at this. This is the uphill into turn 1, just even exiting the pits there on board with Mackenzie. And let's ride with Lee Aberdeen here for just a moment. Watch this entry into turn 1 as we are about to finish qualifying. Just straight up the hill. Look at the elevation change. You have to know where that inside line is. Spot that curb. There you go. Watch the sausage curb to the outside. Track limits in Austria are very, very contentious. And of course, in real life, they decided to throw gravel on the edge of the track to get people to stay in track limits. But you're going to watch here as we ride on board Lee Aberdeen. This is turn 3, and you will hear me call it turn 2 over and over. And that is the dangerous part of that corner, is you get a little too happy on the throttle in turn 2, 3, and you are going to have a bad time. Who can tackle the bull is going to be the question of the day. We pick back up with Swimstra here, who is going to try to be the one to nail that turn 2. Here we go. Up the hill, uphill braking, which is very, very challenging. There we go, hard right. And that's a lot tidier, again, minding the sausage curbs. And then you go down here. This is considered turn, I don't even know what you call this turn. This track is really just like 7 turns, and for some reason it's classified as 12. You go down here, this is what I call turn 3, downhill right-hander. Careful on the brakes, careful on the gas there to go through, and make sure you mind if there's someone to the inside that might send you out to the gravel there on the left. Now we get the double left-hander sweeping through. Mind this exit. This exit is very dangerous for track limits. Send it on back around here into the S's and hold on to it as best you can. Watch your track limits there into the right-hander, and now you come down. This is where the real track limits issue and the pit lane issue becomes. Your pit entry is here on the right, and you see swing through, send it wide, watch yourself a little bit, and watch that final corner. That sausage curb on that final corner will get you if you try to get too greedy, and that's a 1:20 lap here around Austria, Biggles. It's not that bad at all.
Very good job, actually. Very good. Good to see the driver having to put that complete other focus in that. There's your 20-ton Red Bull statue. We worked that out the other day. We had to throw in some little trivia, of course, for us, but yeah, exactly. It's only 2 left-handers. I think the reason why they had to also do that, the motorbike GP or something like that, for that little kink that's counted as turn 2. But I think there's also, you have to have a certain amount of corners in order to be a Class 1 track or something like that for Formula 1. I know. You take out those 2 left-handers and you essentially got an oval, just shaped in a Red Bull oval.
Yeah, it's interesting, really, to see how they set things up. 9 milliseconds the difference for Mackenzie Roon and Tony Jimenez. This is again, not spoiling the Formula One race, but at Formula One qualifying this weekend, the entire field was separated by less than 3/4 of a second. So I'm looking at our 33 cars that have put in a lap, and I mean, they're separated by 1.8 seconds, which for the IGP League, that is a very, very close grid that we have here.
Yeah, we'll have that grid come up for you in a second once it just officially ticks over the remaining time.
Yeah, just waiting on a couple of drivers, it looks like, to finish up final laps here in qualifying. Shouldn't take too much longer. Again, a minute 23 a lap. Realistically, probably a minute 25 on race fuels. We wait for the last couple of drivers to come over. We're right on board here with Talsman and Talsma and into the pits. Talsma goes, and then again, it's a tricky little pit entry here. Here's Nick Carty, and Nick Carty rocking the Williams Racing livery. We'll see here what Nick Carty can put together through the race, if he can be Duracell charged and find his way up the grid order, and into the pits he goes.
Right as well. That should be all of our drivers at the pit road. And fantastic. 5 or so of you watching. I know that a lot of these drivers will be watching this back later, so we'll say hello to those drivers. Give us a wave in the cars, of course, if you are listening live. Don't take your hand off the steering wheel.
There's at least a couple of them watching live. I do know that IGP usually gets together after the race and they'll watch the broadcast back. So to all of you watching the broadcast back again after the fact, hello. And I will go ahead and make the wonderful comment that I am American. So if I mess up someone's name somewhere, I do genuinely apologize for that, and I will catch myself as much as I possibly
I'm an
can.
Aussie, right? So we've got no Europeans in the booth here at the moment. So, and I'm living in your neck of the woods at the moment anyway, in Panama, so I'm living in the Americas with you. So here's your grid, my friend.
Yeah, let's run this grid down. Let's start out with P1 there. Mackenzie Broom with Get Good Racing, and Tony Jimenez with XBD Racing. The front row from there, it's Lee Aberdeen, Nicholas Westman, and then Brent Ruiz and Kevin Zwimstra there in P6. Pedro Soares and Andy Flint, P7, P8. Evan Way, Robert Ridgway, Dennis Cornu, and Ludwig Rancon rounding out your top 12. From there, we're going to go down to P13, and it is going to be Railbird. It is going to be Sebastian there in P14, Don Lee in P15, Chris Trott in P16, Clark Williams in P17, Angelo Vilos in P18, Adam Talsma, P19, P20, Simon Fessy. From there, it's Carvajal. It is Alshevsky, it's Vyshkovsky, and then it's going to be Zamotor and Manuel Animal Vargas there in 22nd. 23rd is going to be Zamotor, and then 24th is Animal Vargas there. 25th, Nick Carty, Patrick Williams, Marcelo Kessler, Eddie Amos, Mark Murex, Ortlovs, and then Oscar Artiano, Maximilian Gebhardt, and Reno Scatini, and then Costas Tenebrel, and Kuj Ito is your 34 cars here today. As we run through, we get set on the grid. We get ready for our 35 laps of racing. We're waiting on just a couple of cars. And of course, just a quick reminder for you, if this is your first time watching the iGPFun League, they have a purple zone through turn 1. What that means, that no active overtakes. You cannot facilitate and force your way into a pass through turn 1. You need to be nice and tidy. The idea is they want everyone to get up and get going and get a nice little start here. They don't want any big turn 1 lap 1 incidents. And then through turn 4, it is a blue zone. And what that means is if you cause an accident, it will be heavily penalized all the way through turn 4. But 5 red lights are out, and we are going to be underway for 35 laps here in Austria. And you see that inside, that left-hand road did not get away very well as we go from that standing start. Everybody gets going here into turn 1, up the hill, couple hard breakers, and it does look like for the most part, everyone has survived here, Biggles, as we get the rundown into turn 3/turn 2. And it does look like everyone has pretty well survived. No big incidents I saw into turn 1. I see that entire track map in the top right-hand corner moving along, but this is the uphill braking zone. You have to watch the car on the inside if you're on the outside. If you're on the outside, you got to mind the sausage curve. But again, everyone doing well to make their way through. And as we get through lap 1, and we're already over halfway through the lap, everybody's got it together that I can see.
Yeah, well, actually, there was just a bit of an incident at the back here. With a couple of cars, so have a look at the replay of that one really quickly. But that's after turn 3 and so forth, so that's very good, as you mentioned. That's what we like to see. And here it is here, actually. This might be a turn 3 up the top of the hill, yes. 3 abreast is not going to work, gentlemen. As you can see, there's probably somebody's just gone around here. Oh, that's a little contact, actually. Fender bender contact. It's okay. Not too bad.
Yeah, a little fender bender there for Patrick Williams, just kind of trying to nudge the car ahead on and get the car going. And as they come through, this is going to be through turns 9 and turns 10 appropriately. And yes, I am going to refer to these as turn 9 and 10. I think you might hear of them as 11 and 12 as I see somebody diving into the pits already. It looks like that is going to be Mr. Evan Way has had to dive in the pits, probably for front wing damage, if I had to guess, as we go through. But now lap 1's done, and Mr. Biggles, this is the point where everybody... Oh, there was a spin there from Williams right as the camera cut away. That is very, very unfortunate in turn 1, but it does look like Williams getting back going is just going to be dropped way down the order, pretty much off of your timing table now.
Spaniard versus the Aussie for the battle for P2 at the moment. And has they got the job yet done right? And also just behind them you have Nicholas Roseman and Brett. So we'll see if we can go on board one of those drivers and kind of see what the battle is up the road here. Here we are. Oh ho ho! That's not going to be too good there for Tony. I think it's gone a little twirly-whirly in the exit.
Yeah, probably not what you want to do here, Tony, but thankfully it's only lap 2 of 35. But again, these laps are going to move very, very quickly. So make sure you don't blink, you don't go anywhere. 35 cars on track, lots of action going on. I see somebody in the gravel here. That is Andy Flint, the American with Scuderia Racing Forces, running very wide there. Oh, even more action in front. This is where Austria starts to kick back in the way Austria does. You have one little incident, and it can form this little concertina effect of 15 cars being involved out of nowhere, where normally tracks will give you plenty of time to react, be aware, and get out of the way. We'll see if we can get a replay here. And this is going to be Carvajal going through, and it looks like possibly holding on, but I think that's what starts it. Little tap of the gravel, spins out, goes through, taps somebody there. I don't know who that was that he tapped, and then just everyone reacting from there. Here's Brent Ruiz as we go back live. Brent Ruiz trying to have a run here and trying to find his way forward. He's in P4 currently. You can see that this is the other downside of Austria. You have a lot of passing opportunities, but Austria is also a track where if you get in that slipstream, that dirty air, there's not a lot you can do sometimes.
You mentioned it, my friend. It was starting to heat up at the moment, early stages of the race. Let's just go back to the live replay. This is not a live replay. Let's really get closer there. A little bit further than that, sorry.
There we go. And now we got Brent Ruiz up into 3rd place. Tony Jimenez trying to get a pass on Mr. Westman here. Nicholas Westman trying to go around. And the Finn now down into 5th. So a finish 5th place in the Guinness as we go on here. And again, these laps move quick, Biggles. I can't emphasize how fast a lap around this track is. And compared to other circuits. I know you and me did Canada 2 weeks ago, and it felt like a lap around there took forever, but then there's action everywhere here, and just as soon as you cut back, Rancon here trying to have a run on Rabillard, the Frenchman trying to go through and not waving the white flag is very, very feisty on the run, and a very good job holding on into P10, trying to look for the move, possibly into P8, 2-for-1 special into turn 1. Thinks better of it.
Oh, I'd go 2-for-1 special in turn 3 would be where you go if you can get it. Get that nice slipstream as you climb up the hill. And then listen to the sound of music here in the Austria. You know, they filmed that movie here, just in case you didn't know that. That's why the reference is always to it.
Yeah, it's a good one to go side by side. They go through turn 3 here, and they are trying to hold on to it. The hills are alive with the sound of engines. That is, there we go. There's my Sound of Music pun for the day. I didn't get one, so there we go. Side by side, 2 by 2, they go down into turn 4, and they do tidy it out back into single file. And you can see Rabillard there still in P10, Robert Ridgway in 9th, Rancon in P8. And now as I say that, there they go through turn 6, a little bit of contact, and it does look like Rabillard is going to drop down into P11 as Graveland is up into P10 here. And now we settle back in single file through turn 8, and we're going to make the run down towards turn 9 and turn 10. Is he going to think about a pass up the inside into 9? It's a cheeky move if you could pull it off, but thinks better. As a big snap there from Graveland into turn 10 and come back around. back on the main straight. Minute 23 is on the board. Minute 24 is minute 25 is further back, but minute 23 is up for the leaders. And I tell you what, Mackenzie Roon really isn't running away with anything up front. Lee Aberdeen here under pressure by Ruiz. If Ruiz can find the run there, the Californian trying to find his way around the outside. Brent Ruiz side by side into turn 3 they go. And again, Brent Ruiz still there. They're still running through. No DRS here in the Super Formula lights. It's all about the power and the traction out of the corner. Does look like Brent Ruiz is going to have just enough to clear him. Now, will Aberdeen slot in? And Aberdeen does decide to slot in for the moment. Thinks the long game, holds on to it, because Mackenzie Roon, with their little scrap, has built out a 1.2 second advantage.
They just got the fastest lap too in that previous one, so he was coming thick and fast, and good work there. That's very difficult on that corner as well too, because that's where you get out on those marbles, and saw a lot of cars spinning in the MX series and a few other series that had this week as well. And believe it or not, on that final corner, I saw an overtake as well on the Radical cars. On the final corner, like you don't see an overtake on the outside of that final corner very often. And in this one coming up here, that's just bold and brave to do something there. But Brett's up the road there. He's got to catch Mackenzie. He's in the lead of this one by 1.2.
Yeah, it's a very gutsy decision to make that run around the outside. And while the gap is opening up there for Mackenzie Roon, Brent Ruiz was faster by 0.3 on the last lap. So we're going to keep seeing the battle up front go. And you see Westman, Zwimstra, Soares, Raincon, Ridgeway, and Rabillard are all putting in very competitive times through. I do see a 126 going down the board from Gravelund as we go through. Look at this. It's going to be Westman here with Mr. Jimenez trying to look around there. Tony Jimenez going up the inside. Actually, I lied. I believe that is Westman there, and still trying to get the pass done is Westman with Jimenez, who gets this one through. It's going to be Jimenez to the outside, Westman to the inside. This is brave down into turn 4, and it is the inside line that gets that. Is there a crossback? There is not. Tony Jimenez will stay in 5th place for the moment, down 3 places on the day, and it seems like possibly just the race not coming around yet. We're lap 6 of 35. There's the example of a switchback through turn 4 as we go through, and that is gonna be Andre, the Brazilian, trying to make a run here, trying to find something ahead as Talsma and Gravelund battle ahead, but Andre is looking very, very fast as we continue on.
That's a great battle at the moment. These drivers are up 7, 9, 4 positions and stuff like that. For the Brazilians, because we've had, give or take, from P25 down to P, we didn't have the Japanese driver didn't start, so P25 to P33 have all gone on that pit road, maybe some damage. And you saw Tony go off that track earlier and kind of hasn't really massively recovered since then. So, 3 into 1, gentlemen. There it is. That's what I kind of thought that was coming. Who was that? The other Brazilian.
Yeah, Brazilian on Brazilian trying to fight there, and unfortunately,
Vila's to turn around here. He's got it.
You gotta, and the issue is once this track gets going, once you get more than 5 laps in, if the field gets spread out enough, it kind of doesn't matter what you do. It kind of doesn't matter what you do, because you're not going to get that real opportunity to kick the car around or try to back up and avoid that pit wall.
Yeah, this is very difficult as well here, because you get hit that inside bump there, the car lifts up and flies straight into the to the other one. Otherwise, you get too far on the outside as well too. You can definitely make a spin. So that's just turn 1 magic, so we say here for the drivers at Spielberg. I was going to look at that replay as well too, because Jimenez is still hanging in there. See if he can claw his way back up, but.
I gotta wonder, well, I was gonna say, does Jimenez have damage? But as I say that, Jimenez with the fastest lap so far of the race. So I'm going to presume if there is damage, it's affecting nothing here, as we see Tony Jimenez trying to make the run on Westman right there in the mix, not that far off, and Westman's right there on Aberdeen as well. Are we gonna go 3 wide into turn 3? 3 into 3? It doesn't look like it, but side by side, and Tony Jimenez will just kind of snake back a little bit. You see that Aberdeen's there on the inside, and Westman does have to go wide. Westman will drop back, a little bit of switch back around, and that is Tony Jimenez to the left-hand side of your screen. Will room be left here down into turn 4? It does look like it. as we go through. And Tony Jimenez now around the outside to the inside is going to be the Finn there with Westman trying to find a way through. The inside turns to the outside for the double left-handers here of turn 6 and turn 7. Doesn't look like any opportunity here. They need to figure this one out because the more they battle, the more Aberdeen can pull away. And there it is. Tony Jimenez finally tried to go for 2, but we'll have to settle with 1 there, and Aberdeen up into 3rd.
Well, as I said, this is one of the tracks that you can actually go side by side all the way around the whole track. You know, get many of those circuits in the world that you could do that. So I don't mind if the drivers do, but it will cost them that little bit of time, as you can see, up the road to the Aussie as they're about to start another lap here as we're getting clicking over 9, 27 to go. What you want to do here is you want to get a fantastic exit, if you like of Nicholas Wesman. You've got to get a good exit and then send it up onto turn 3, and then there's an overtaking opportunity. Either way, you can go the outside or the inside, but you've got to sort of remember when you put that power down the loud pedal, you got to be a little bit more gingerly with it.
Yeah, that is the biggest challenge, I think, of this track, is because it is so undulating, uphill, downhill, especially in the braking zones and out of the corners. If you don't have great control of that loud pedal, of that throttle, if you're just trying to stomp it and go, it's very, very simple to spin yourself out, and of no fault of anyone but yourself if you are not careful here as we ride on board with Westman. It does look like Westman is a little bit faster than Tony Jimenez. I'm still not convinced that Tony Jimenez doesn't have some sort of damage that they're fighting off here, and Westman is just right on the back, but just not able to get past, or maybe just settling in here for a moment, the Finn. And it's hard to say which here in the booth, because it could be either, honestly. It could be they're settling in. It could be they just can't find a comfortable place to pass at the moment, because realistically, Austria, you know, you've got the 2 big passing points into turn 1, turn 3, and turn 4, but you can, you know, as you said, Biggles, you can make a pass work just about anywhere around here.
Yes, well, probably more on the slower class vehicles, like the obviously the closed wheel, like Radicals, MX-5s, and things like that. These are much faster cars, so yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to do, but never know. Same for Interlagers as well too. You can almost go side by side around that whole track. Not always recommended. See the power slide coming out of that? We saw it, didn't we, during qualifying with Lee? Just when he got on the loud pedal, and then that rear end just slipped around. So as these tires will wear a little bit more, but see how they go. I want to go back to that little Tony incident to see whether he got damaged, and this is the one where they come together there, and I don't know, too bad, did it?
I was gonna say that didn't look too bad from that angle. It doesn't seem like there's any damage really. So if there is, it could be floor damage, but that's not something I feel like I traditionally hear about in iRacing, is floor damage from a little bit of gravel. So if I'm wrong, somebody correct me in the YouTube chat, because again, I could be wrong. That's part of the fun of being the commentator in the booth, is I'm not the best driver. So I don't always know all of the fun ins and outs of what can actually happen to you in iRacing. So if you're watching the stream right now and you can get floor damage from that gravel, just let me know, and we'll see what happens here. Mackenzie Roon still up front flying. We're looking a little bit farther back at Scattini here. Reno Scattini, the UK and Irish driver, trying to put in a good run, as we see Nick Carty run a bit wide there, and Scattini is going to try to take advantage. The battles through the field are everywhere, honestly. Even though the battle up front is still going, you really do have to keep your eye all the way top to bottom of the field. And remember, Biggles, it's a shorter track. So what does that mean? Shorter track means it's quicker to start seeing people get lapped. And what happens when lap traffic gets involved? A lot of action, as we see Ruiz here right on the back down into turn number 4, and still not able to make a pass.
You can see, I'll change the track map at the moment to show the position of the car numbers, but you can see there's that lap traffic will be creeping in very soon. The 29th and 28th place machines, as they're about to start another lap on theirs. Our leaders are coming around the final 2 lefts, and then 2 rights to go. And Brett is starting to reel in Mackenzie Roon here. So Brett Roos, of course, it's up 3 places in this one, and he wants a number 4th. If he gets a number 4th, he gets the lead.
Yeah, that is going to be the big goal here today as we go down the main straight now. Yet again here, out of turn 10, down the main straight, up the hill into turn 1. Second verse, same as the first. Do you think about a pass at the inside here? That is the million-dollar question. It doesn't look like Brent Ruiz does it, but sets up well. A little bit of a slide there for Mackenzie Rune. Mackenzie Rune now needs to defend. Slipstream all the way down here through the quote-unquote turn 2. Looks to dive to the inside. Inside will be the outside for the hairpin right-hander, uphill hairpin right-hander. And here we go, side by side they go, and Brent Ruiz will try to cut off Mackenzie Rune, does very well to cut off Mackenzie Rune. And there we go, down the main back straight, if you want to call it that, and out of turn 3, down into turn 4. We don't call these corners for some reason, but Brent Ruiz has the lead now. Can Mackenzie Rune fight back into turn 4, downhill right-hander, and is not able to this time. And now we jump back because Wimstra trying to go long way around the outside, and Kevin Zwimstra there has Suarez up the inside for company. Outside will turn to the inside, and inside will turn to the outside for the double left-handers here, but it does look like Suarez has cleared. I might have spoke too soon there, but no, Kevin Zwimstra will settle back in there as Suarez will be up into P6 now. So new leader, new P6, and nonetheless, plenty of action all the way through the field.
Brilliant battling. I wonder if Lee can enjoy this party at the moment in P3. You can see him in the background because that little bit of battling at the front there may have cost those leaders a little bit of time. Just looking at the last lap times that they did. Yes, it was. It was kind of a little bit quicker there from Lee. So can he do it? Of course. Can Tony start catching the back there and defend against the flying Finn as well? And then, I don't know, Pedro has about 2 seconds to change down the road. I'm quite sure that'll be enough. But, oh, well, still 23 laps to go. You never know. Never say never.
Yeah, plenty of time remaining, so who knows, we could get a 7-car battle for the lead by the end of this. We'll just have to sit and wait and see what happens here as we run through turn 3 at the moment. That is Nick Carty diving very hard to the right-hand side of the grid and allowing through Gebhard. And I am not sure why that was such an aggressive pull to the right, but it was. It caught my attention, that's for sure. Marcelo Kessler here is trying to find a way side by side there with Ortloves, and Ortloves to the inside, Kessler to the outside. Will this clear through? And it does look like the pepperoni pizza of Kessler will find his way around as we jump back to turn 3 again. Scatini here trying to find a way through this group of 4 cars ahead. Cornu in the mix of them, and you see here that this is going to be Gebhardt, Carty, Cornu, and Scatini that are battling it out. 4 cars that have found very, very close company, but it does look like a little bit of that sort of slipstream settling in, and everybody, you know, they're looking for a pass if they can find it.
I'll tell you what would be interesting is what happens when the leaders encounter that this gaggle of cars are battling each other. That's not going to be very easy to get past around here, is it? Because there's not a lot of areas where you have to really lift off to allow the cars through. Because, you know, these are just a sweeping short circuit, as you know. So they haven't got big long straights just to move over and allow cars through. So that'll be very interesting going through. Well, I wouldn't let it bother you as the top drivers and the leaders in this race at the moment just yet, because they haven't really drastically caught that pack yet. I think everybody's doing pretty good times.
Yeah, the leaders aren't really getting as far, like as close to the lap down cars as I was expecting here, as we're approaching lap 15 of 35. So we'll hit 20 to go once they cross the line. And there's Brent Ruiz, your race leader at the moment, with Mackenzie Rune and Lee Aberdeen very close for comfort. And Tony Jimenez has closed the gap down to 1.3 seconds. It is continuing to kind of come down slowly but surely with Westman, the flying Finn in tow. Here we go, side by side battle there. Andre looking up the inside there of Graveland and trying to find a move. Andre down into P12 now as it sits. And I'm going to say his last name one time for the broadcast and probably not anymore. Vizakovsky. Andre Vizakovsky there in P12 and Graveland in P11. So I'm not European, but I do know the W's are V's. And that's about the best that I've got for you.
I think it sounds right, actually. It just seems to flow off the tongue. I don't know.
It does, doesn't it?
Let us know, but yep. If you want to let us know, but most of the drive, I haven't got too much feedback, but Jameson usually does his broadcasting as well too. But I haven't got that much feedback from previous races and past of like myself. But they all know that I completely just mess up people's names. So But usually
it's an Australian trait, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But usually the lead commentator is the ones that get it right, so that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I blame James. We'll blame it on James. It's his channel, his monkeys, his circus. So I'm sure he'll tell me if I've done something wrong here as we ride on board with Nicholas Vestman, who is trying to find the way forward there against Tony Jimenez, who is still holding on to that 4th place going through. And again, we jump back to Nick Carty, the American in the Williams, and trying to find a way through. And there's a swerve from Scatini to get back in the slipstream of good old Nick Carty and find a way forward. Still not able to. Is going to settle into the slipstream here down into turn number 4, but they are battling very hard. Here's Ortloves and trying to make a pass with Fessy, and Fessy there just behind Ortloves, who is just behind Kessler, who is still trying to find a pass. We've gotten to this situation in the race where everyone's in the rhythm. The leaders have still not caught up to the back of the pack yet. We're not really getting lapped cars yet, but the pack is starting to fracture out into these little mini packs of similar pace where you got, it seems like, honestly, a slightly slower car that is holding up other cars.
You said it, my friend, right there, and this is great. Yeah, great little pack battle racing you're seeing all around the place. Oh, look at that. But because these drivers at the back, well, the drivers that are currently at the back, they're doing 1 minute 24s, mid 1 minute 24s. The leaders are doing mid 1 minute 23s. So, you know, a second a lap. Yeah, 3 abreast, gentlemen. I don't know if I recommend that. Ugh, somebody had to lift off, thankfully, as even the birds were flying away from that one. Just see the corner of your picture saying, I'm getting out of here as well.
Yeah, Ortlov said, I am not a part of that, but now is going to battle it back on Simon Fessy here. Down into turn 4. Can he make the pass? It does look like he's going to try the long way around and can't settle in there, has to give it up. Simon Fessy with a little bit better traction there. And this is opening the door for Kessler to try to open things up. And just as a reminder, this is your battle for P16. This isn't your battle for the lead. This is your battle for P16. The battle for the lead is still separated by 0.6 of a second. Let's get a replay here. This is Patrick Williams going through that very, very fast sweeping double right-hander. There's the first, and a little too much sausage curb, but thankfully keeps it out of the wall. But I will tell you right now, those tires are cooked, and it looks like Patrick Williams just calling it for a day. So Patrick Williams in the pits. We've lost Clark Williams, we've lost Zamotor, and we lost Animal. And then, of course, our Japanese driver of Kuji did not take the race start, it appears.
Yeah, that's a frustrating tow as well, too, if he does happen to come back out there for Patrick Williams, because that's a tow from the start, from the pit lane, start of the pit lane, all the way back around again. I saw a car the other day spin it just before the pit lane so they could get themselves into the pit lane there, and thankfully resolved that one, but that was a little bit day late, dollar short outside of that one. But so pretty much one of the first times we've seen one of those final corner incidents so far, which is quite good because it's a very tricky corner. It's flat out at higher speed, you know, you want to get a good run down the main straight into turn 1. And, still battling it out here for the lead. These two, you can see at the moment, there's your current top 5 drivers. At least that's the fastest lap. They are exchanging these fastest laps like early Christmas cards.
They really are, and it's been fun to watch. I'll tell you right now, Biggles, I'm going to just go ahead and tell you, me and that outside wall out of the final corner have a very, very strong relationship with each other. We very much love each other, and I'm not going to tell you the amount of times that I have kissed that outside wall on the exit of turn 10 just from a little too much heave-ho into the entry of 10. And me and that outside wall of 10 have had many a conversation, many a dates here as we watch the battle between Mackenzie Roon and Brent Ruiz continues to go for this get good racing driver of Mackenzie Roon trying to catch up to Brent Ruiz just ahead. Can Mackenzie Roon find the pass? At the moment you settle in through 6 and 7, just hang out behind. You're really just trying to pick up on where Brent Ruiz is going to be the weakest and where you probably have the pace. And that is, I'll be honest, that's the $1 million question. I don't know really where the difference is for them. They're so evenly matched as far as I can tell across the lap, and there's nothing that's really going to give one advantage to the other. It's really just gotta wonder when the tire is gonna start dropping and start giving Britt Ruiz a little bit less grip, and Mackenzie Rune maybe be able to save a little bit more tire here to get the run forward here as we go to the line. Look at that, nearly identical lap times.
I think you're right. It's going to be the tires is going to be crucial here at the moment, perhaps towards the end there. And well, you got to buy that wallflowers out there if you want next time you're racing here, my friend. As look at that
trust
now,
me, I have.
The top 5 are starting to slowly creep in. I think you kind of called this one. All we need, of course, is the Portuguese driver Pedro Soares to come and join it. But he's 3.4. Remember, it was over 4 seconds, I think.
Yep.
4 from the race leader. So this could be good. Could be a nice. We do want to have a nice little close battle between everybody. Here's the driver that you said you weren't going to pronounce his name, but I think he's gone off track here. Yes, he has. Oh, that could be a hard impact.
Oh,
that's huge.
That's an unusual snap, honestly. Yeah. I know Valtteri Bottas has mowed the yard there with a Mercedes, but you don't usually see cars snap that hard to the inside. That's
no safety barrier there. You know what I mean? That's just a straight fence as well, too, so there's not common area for crashes.
As we watch Kessler here, who's trying to get a pass on Cornu and looking to find a way through, not able to. They have opened up the gap quite a bit to Ortlov's behind. This is your battle for P16 that is still going on, and we continue to watch here. The battle for the pizza machine is trying to get up into 16, and it's kind of making me want pizza, I'm not gonna lie. Might have to go buy a slice as we go through. I'm still trying to keep an eye on that top 5 battle as well. It seems like Westman has started to drop back a little bit, with Jimenez kind of closing the gap on Aberdeen up ahead as we watch here. Kessler still trying to get that run on Cornu.
Oh, this is huge.
It's a big one.
It's a big
the
pile
top
up.
5 all piling up out of the exit. Who does that put in the lead? Who does that put in the lead? Well, it looks like that is going to be Soares who will find the way forward, because while Mackenzie Rune is in the lead, I think Mackenzie Rune has big damage. Lee Aberdeen, no front wing. It looks like very dented steering. You might as well scrap that super formula.
No, I don't know if he could. Yeah, I don't know if he can even get it around there now. As you're talking about turn 2, aren't you? Turn 3 on top of the hills. So you've got the rest of the track to go.
Yeah, I would just tow it if I was in that situation. There's no sense. But Mackenzie Rune, did Mackenzie Rune come out of that with damage free?
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we, if he goes in the pit lane now of 16 to go. It doesn't visually look like there's any damage on the car, but you just don't know, are you, until you're the driver. That's pit road.
Into the pits.
He's got damage. Tony's in. So the only driver stays out. Yes, Brett's got to go in for sure. Pedro will stay. I don't think Pedro was involved in any of that. We'll go back and have a replay. And Wesman will. So, wow. That's a lot. And that's just because I don't think it was contact, was it? I just think Brett lost it. We just caught the end of that one. Let's have the replay. Yeah, he just lost it.
Yeah, so Brent's coming up the hill here and has Mackenzie Rune for company right in the background. Comes around, dives through, and just does what we saw happen in qualifying a little too much. And there's the contact, and now drivers are coming around. That's not a lot of time to react, but look at Pedro in the background there who gets the good run through. Soares and Zwimstra very quick to react and say, you know what? I'm just going to run it all the way around and run it wide. And now all they have to do is stay on track. And they've been gifted possibly a win here, as Kevin Zwimstra and Pedro Soares are now your P1, P2. We have all of the drivers who were in the lead coming out. Mackenzie Rune came out in 6th place.
Yeah. Look, where'd he go? Where'd he go?
Oh!
Nowhere.
I mean, yeah, all you can really do in that situation is just sit, because the big thing is, if you don't have like a track IR or you're not racing in VR, you can't look past the corner to see what's going on ahead. And even then, with an uphill sharp right-hander like turn 3 is, I mean, it's a 120-degree right-hander uphill. That's going to be so hard to spot, and you kind of just are at the mercy at that point when you come around.
Yeah, or if you're lucky to have a spotter that's on your side there, but that spotter's going to be right on top of the game there and say slow, we'll go left or right, go to right. But you know, that's a very, very last minute decision. Most of the drivers aren't going to have a spotter unless you have like doing an endurance race or something like that. You know, that's when you get spotters. But it is what it is, and so it'll put these drivers an opportunity at the moment. Where is Tony here? Mackenzie Rune is here in P6 now. Tony Jimenez is there. Brett Rudes is right on the back trying to take this position again from Chris, and perhaps that is the case. It looked like that car had damage on it, didn't it? Chris's car, but that's just the way that the front. Yeah. So there it is, and where else are we looking? Lee's back out, but he's down to P29, of course, because that tow, that tow, would have cost him quite a bit of time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for all of those drivers because, again, I can't spoil anything, but if you watch today, I will just say that I was heartbroken, and I kind of have a similar feeling today. I'm not spoiling anything, I'm not saying anything, but if you're a fan of any sort of formula racing, as we watched 3 wide here with Don Lee going through with Velos and Cornu, and Cardi is in the mix as well. So, I mean, this is a tight little battle going on that is going to continue. Are we going 3 wide down into turn 4? I hope not, but we are side by side into turn 4, and that is Don Lee, who is just kind of watching and waiting in the background as you have Velos and Cornu battling it out with Scatini not too far ahead.
It's fantastic battling, and we're seeing a blinker as well too. It's going to be very difficult too to have a blinker around this if you get close enough to somebody, because then you're just going to have to judge where you kind of predict where they're going to be. Use your magic skills. Getting down to the business end, 13 to go currently at the moment. Is Sebastian, that we haven't really even seen too much here of our Norwegian driver. Yes, Brett. See Brett just in the background. We know Brett is fast, but does it have enough time? That's going to be the question.
And I think the issue is for Brett Ruiz is that he's found himself out of the slow. That's Scatini facing backwards in turn number 1 and just ramps it over sausage curb. And it looks like Williams has had a tow as well, and Veloz has towed into the pits. So I'm not sure what happened there, but it does look like Scatini here, and this is uphill turn 1. A brave dive to the inside. Did he know he was there? No, Scatini just lost it on his own. Velos had to avoid it. It looks like just into the wall.
And in a dangerous place, just as we saw earlier, didn't it, with Brent? That's why he just absolutely gassed it, didn't he, and just got off that racing line, because, I mean, that was a huge pileup, and that we saw from our race leaders, and I think the drivers. But then again, at that point too, you're not as difficult because you're also not supposed to move. Because if you are, and somebody's trying to avoid you, then all of a sudden, you've caused a wreck. And this time around, Brett just spun on his own and didn't move. The rest of the cars are pinball effect, just a racing incident. That's all that is.
Yeah, that is very true. And sometimes the pinball effect, you're the unlucky one, and there's nothing you can do when you play bumper cars. Somebody's got to get bumped to the wall, and every once in a while, it is someone who doesn't want to be here. As Artloves is trying to get past Kessler, they're going to go side by side up the hill towards turn 3, and here we go. It is Kessler to the inside, Artloves to the outside. Is going to look for the switchback, but it is going to be the Star Spangled Pizza car that keeps it ahead there for Kessler, and is going to keep going. Here's another battle. This is Nick Cardi yet again trying to battle with Cornu. Cornu's going to go a little bit wider. Cardi wanted to send it up the inside, wasn't able to get past there in the Williams livery, and is going to be back in 21st place still, but is showing some good pace here. Brent Ruiz has closed that gap pretty significantly to Graveland here. The gap now just a couple tenths. They have somebody ahead going very slow, and you see that Graveland is going to go through. That was Tony Jimenez going very slow. Tony Jimenez now down into 9th place. This is the run up into turn 1. What does Ruiz decide to do? Ruiz just stays behind for the moment. Hold the slipstream all the way up through turn 2, up into turn 2. And yes, I said turn 2 twice because I'm calling turn 2 and turn 2 the same thing. There we go. Break around. Jimenez behind. Ruiz to the inside. And a very, very good move there from Graveland. And now it's throw. Oh, we're not done yet, though. Oh, a little bit of contact. And it does look like that Graveland will back out there, and Ruiz is going to be there. And Tony Jimenez will find the way through as well, I believe. So that will get this battle going. But will Graveland give up the inside? Tony Jimenez forced to the outside. Graveland to the inside. Mine! Oh, that was very, very close. But Tony Jimenez will sit back into 9th place.
Yeah, spoiler alert, that is remnants of the Formula 1 Grand Prix that just occurred. So I won't give it away who, I know why, but that was pretty much like
Yeah, we saw that. We saw that.
Now, I'm going to have to get pizza now as well. No, that's it. You convinced me. The bloody driver out there has convinced me to get pizza. Great battling at the moment still for the lead of this race. So Pedro is starting to hunt in currently at the moment, Kevin. So these two opportunities for these drivers to get the job done. In the chat there, Doodly Doola said, well, it was like, Mackenzie were on for some great points. Well, Mackenzie's still in for some great points because he's currently in P6. Not the best of points being at the top of the timesheets, but... considering that all those cars had damage, they had to go to pit road and come back out still in those good top 10, that's impressive for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Being able to, essentially turn your race into a recovery drive from what it was. And, again, this is reminiscent to days of old when races get handed to someone who's just right place, right time. And Pedro Suarez here possibly being able to pass Zwimstra if we can just hold on for a moment. 9 laps. It'll be 8 laps to go when they cross the line here. And you see Suarez using all of the road to try to get a pass done there with Zwimstra just ahead. They're both racking up the track limits warnings. And I got to wonder at what point do they start getting penalties?
I think you saw when Tony was going really slow out of that corner. I don't see anything on my race control messages here that he made an incident or went off track or anything. So nothing from there. It indicates to me that that was probably a slowdown. And that was the reason why I was going very slow out of that corner. And then the other drivers got zoomed on past him. Well, until Brett zoomed on by. So I think, yes, that seems to me that would be. I did see it earlier in some of the series that I casted earlier this week here on the JP Broadcasting Network. And there was a few drivers that did get a couple of slowdowns. So it might be coming now.
Yeah. Well, and the issue is that Austria, remember last year when F1 ran Austria and everybody went up in arms because of the post-race track limits review that was like, well, there were hundreds of off tracks that we missed, and they basically came up with their own system, as the FIA tends to do sometimes. Thankfully, we don't have that issue in iRacing. There's no manual reviews. It is very cut and dry. If all 4 wheels are off the racing surface, all 4 wheels are off the racing surface. That's one of the good things about sim racing is there's no debate. If you go off, you go off. I'm looking at the off-track counters now. Kevin Zwimstra with 38 off-track counts to Pedro Suarez's 29. So, and Rancon has 36. So you got to watch and just hope that they reel that down. Every driver has at least one. I do see it looks like Andre, all the way down in 27th, who is out now, had 46 off tracks that have been calculated through, and something's happened to Westman. Westman now showing in the pits.
Yeah, he's had an off-track excursion somewhere. I don't think it was too long, but we'll have a look at the replay. Though sometimes the off-tracks, the information that we get is not always accurate to the drivers, but that's that's something at least you have to look at. And drivers keep an eye on that one. Let's have a replay at the moment. Just going to see whether or not Mackenzie's going to try to reel in here. You can pronounce the French driver if you don't mind, the 32 machine up the road.
Yeah, Rabillard.
Rabillard, that's it. That sounds easy. It rolls off your tongue like that. Here we go.
Mackenzie Roon was on the brakes pretty early into turn 3, but it does look like Mackenzie Roon down into turn 4 will just kind of sneak up the inside, deep on the brakes, sends Rabillard wide, and pretty as you please. Mackenzie Roon with the pass up into P5 is on the recovery drive run to try to chase back up into hopefully what could be a podium finish. I think if there is enough time, that is the questionable part. There is what happened to Aberdeen, and Lee Aberdeen comes around. Oh, don't tell me that Lee Aberdeen catches someone else. It doesn't look like it. And this is what happened to Westman. Just a snap on zone. Stops there. That's a dangerous exit. And, backs out into the gravel and then just calls it there. And I think after what happened earlier with Nicholas Westman, it does not surprise me to kind of see just a little bit of the proverbial hands in the air done for the day here. 6 laps to go, though, Biggles, and here is your battle for the lead. Suarez on Zwimstra, and it is Suarez finally getting the pass after laps and laps and laps of setting it up the inside on Zwimstra into turn 3, and now we have the run down turn 4. Can Zwimstra use the slipstring here? Suarez will be around probably on the preferred side to the inside. It is Zwimstra to the outside, has to cut him off, and it is going to be Pedro Suarez holding onto the lead. Zwimstra's going to try to go around the outside, maybe picked up some moves watching today and goes outside. Can't make that grip stick though, and it is Pedro Suarez now officially in the lead. Kevin Zwimstra in P2.
Oh, that's brilliant. I wouldn't want to be giving it up, but look at these two. They were battling it out early at the start of the race, weren't they? When they were that pack of the leaders. Now, they're just inside the top 10, but I'll tell you what, they could have a little bit of beef between these two drivers. No beef because of what happened before with Brett's spin, but good battle between these two, because remember, it's going to be crucial in the championship coming later, because they're going to have a ton of points between them, and this 1 or 2 points could make all the difference later on at the end of the year.
You are not wrong. It definitely could. And that's the thing you've got to remember is that, you know, this is a long season and every point matters now all the way through. These are very, very closely matched drivers as we go through. Brent Ruiz just on the slipstream of Tony Jimenez here into turn 1. It's going to look for a pass. Doesn't do anything there. Is going to hold on. Little bit of sausage curb use there from Tony, and Tony's now just got to watch the mirrors. Look left, look right, look left again. Which way is Brent Ruiz going to decide to go here? Up the hill into turn 3. Goes to the outside, and Tony Jimenez will hold the inside line here. 5 laps to go. Can you defend like that for 5 laps is the big question I have for Tony Jimenez. Is Tony Jimenez will settle things in. Looks like did hold on Brent Ruiz for the moment, but now we have the run down to turn 4. It's not over yet. You get maybe 2 seconds to breathe here. And again, up the inside will go Tony Jimenez. Brent Ruiz there to the outside, trying to force it the long way around and can't hold on to it. Tony Jimenez with just enough grip to hold on, and Brent Ruiz will have to settle back in behind this car for the remainder of these 10 corners. And then we'll try it all again up into turn 1, turn 3, and turn 4.
Oh, it's on. The heat is on. The heat is on currently at the moment here in Spielberg with 6 to go. Very soon to be 5 to go. Pedro still holding up that little bit of a lead once he just got it there from Kevin in the P2. That's the Flying Dutchman. So keep an eye on that one. But this is it. This is going to be probably one of the biggest battles you do want to see between these two gladiators. 7th and 8th position, of course, very high up in the Drivers' Championship standings. Huge, huge, huge. As they're taking advantage of those other drivers, of course, like Lee and Nicholas and stuff like that, that didn't have now. Looks like they've elected to stay in the pit road and retire on that one. So this is it. Time to get the job done. And another opportunity in the turn 2, we'll call it. Again.
Yeah, Brent Ruiz here trying to have the look again. Tried to go the outside last time. Tony Jimenez very late on the brakes there. Brent Ruiz is going to try to cut this through. No contact, but man, is it close as they come out of turn 3 here, down the run into turn 4. And Brent Ruiz again still trying to look for Tony Jimenez, and watch up front Zwimstra. That gap is coming down a little bit here, but Ruiz again still trying to force the issue around the outside. Ruiz really wants to make that outside line work. A little bit in the gravel there as Tony Jimenez leaving just enough room for a car, but not much more. And again, another 3/4 of a lap. Brent Ruiz will have to just stay behind here and try to hold on as we continue to watch these two just elbows out, feet out, fist out. They are battling like it's the run for the win on the final lap. Time and time again, they keep things going here as Suarez has crossed the start-finish line to take us on to 3 laps to go here as we come down the hill. Brent Ruiz a little bit further back on Tony Jimenez than Brent Ruiz has been, but I don't anticipate that causing any issues here as we get the run up to turn 1, and then we go the long straightaway towards turn 3. Look at the speed difference out of turn 1, but for some reason Brent Ruiz just can't capitalize.
And it's yeah, so you're about half a second or something like that, you're looking good. If you're about a second to change, you've got a bit of work to do. So here's another battle. Now they've studied this a bit of time now, so how much defending has Tony done, and where can Brett attack again? Mackenzie Roon was just holding off at the moment. I think it was just the French driver, so he applied a little bit of a late attack. But this is where your eyes are glued, and I think Kevin's backed off a little bit from that attack to Pedro as well. 4 to go.
Yeah, it looks like Zwimstra has backed out a little bit and is just trying to sort of breathe for the moment. Probably just trying to hold on a little bit further back. This battle with Brent Ruiz, though, Brent Ruiz is not letting off. Those tires are probably screaming right now. If there's any rubber left on those tires, they are absolutely screaming because Brent Ruiz has not let up lap after lap after lap. as we go through our leader. It started lap 33 of 35 now as we continue on. I said 2 to go earlier. I can't do math. Just ignore me. I'll tell you when it's the white flag, and that's going to be the important part. That's really what Tony Jimenez is looking for at the moment, because that's all Tony Jimenez wants. Robert Ridgway with the fastest lap of the race, or personal best, actually, of the race. And Brent Ruiz has dropped.
Oh, it's come back.
No, there we go. Brent
blink.
Ruiz. Oh, that was, I think that was more than a blink. The internet connection decided to lay down, and the eyes got heavy for about 5 seconds. But Brent Ruiz is back and running, and now 0.3 of a second back from Tony Jimenez up into turn 3. That's where they've been running side by side, and it looks like Brent Ruiz has opted to stay back a little bit. He's going to look for something different here on this lap as we continue on. The gap 0.3 as we run down into turn 4. Brent Ruiz just is going to have to stay behind Tony Jimenez for another lap of frustration. At what point does Brent Ruiz just become frustrated of not being able to get that pass done and is just going to, try to chuck one up the inside and make it stick?
If you're going to do it, you do it on the last lap, but I probably wouldn't recommend it. I think defending. What he needs to do is just force Tony into mirror driving, or force Tony into a mistake. That's going to be the key, I think, at this point. Otherwise, a late send, the way that Tony's defending this one, I think that may end up having a collision together. Spoiler alert, something like a Formula 1 did this weekend. So they're racing drivers. They're gonna go for tooth and nail. But gotta remember, you both could take each other out here, and you potentially lose a top 10 place here. That's something else to think about.
Yeah, and that's something that these drivers know. They race with each other week in, week out. They're very respectful of each other. But at some point, the gloves come off, and the question becomes when. And I think my answer might be coming now. Brent Ruiz here, right on the back of Tony Jimenez, pulls out to the outside for turn 3, and is going to be running through deep on the brakes. Tony Jimenez brakes a little bit deeper. Side by side they go. And no, there is contact, and Tony Jimenez is sent around. And Brent Ruiz, I believe, is going to have some pretty significant damage. Oh, my goodness me. No punctures, please.
We knew it was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen. Oh, it's unfortunate. But the problem is because they've let a couple of drivers through now as well, haven't they? Have they let a couple? I think they have. Oh, sorry, Tony did. So you got Sebastian and Chris. So if there was a my bad situation, you'd usually slow down and let your other opponent through. But because you've got those two cars separating between them, it doesn't really. You don't have to. You never have to do that anyway. It's for sportsmanship. But we're gonna look at the replay for sure. And I don't know. I mean, it's just tight.
It's the second time I've seen this today. Side by side into turn 3. Neither one wants to let go. Let's go slow-mo here. You see, Tony's there, and I think gets the curb and gets a little loose. And the car is trying to come around. Brent's trying to leave room, and then just finally says, you know what? I can't leave you any more room. And Tony says, no, I need more room. And, that's all you get. And then Tony just open wheels do what open wheels do and ramp off each other. And we'll ride on board here, looking back off the suspension. Look at this. Look at this space. I mean, they're trying to leave each other room, but it's just, they both kind of, in their mindset, I want the same spot.
The rear to the front, isn't it? Yeah, look. There. Side pod. Oh, no, it's not hit there. It's the wheel there. Bang.
Oh.
Yeah, that's when you get that's what lifts the cars. You see that in real life as well, too, isn't it? When you get the wheel on wheel, it lifts the whole cars up, like it literally almost flips cars sometimes, so. Yeah, I don't know, but that's a difficult one. That's one for the stewards or whatever to look at, racing incident. But I said it was brewing, didn't we? We knew it was going to happen, and inevitably it did. Hopefully it wasn't going to happen, but Mackenzie Roon has on the final lap any chance what he can get Robert Ridgway in the P4.
Possibly here as we go through. Watch this, and Robert Ridgway is going to defend the inside. Mackenzie Roon to the outside. Pedro Soares and Zwimstra have crossed the line to win, and Robert Ridgway, Mackenzie Roon, that battle will continue on through the final corner. It does look like as we enter the final corner, though, Mackenzie Roon will settle for a P5. The recovery drive to P5 for Mackenzie Roon, but Soares Zwimstra handed a P1, P2, and Rancon handed that third place very much so after a small incident with the top 5 and Pedro Soares. You could see how happy Pedro Soares is, and that is Kevin Zwimstra right beside. They're both just jerking the wheels left, right. They are very happy with that, and regardless if you're handed a win or not, if you want to call it handed a win, they raced hard, and in the end, it is 1-2-3, Suor Zwimstra Rancon, Robert Ridgway P4, holding off Mackenzie Roon to the very end. But I tell you what, the conversation is going to be about that last lap battle between Ruiz and Tony Jimenez. That one, there's going to be conversations about that for a while, and then, of course, all of your top 5 having their moments there in Turn 3. Turn 3 in Austria, you might as well just get a box of popcorn and sit there and watch.
Yeah, it's exactly, isn't it? That's the place to be, for sure, in real life and in the virtual world. So Tony lineup finished just outside that top 10, and Mackenzie Roon, with that incident that they had together, were finishing that top 5. So it's a good recovery drive. Pedro and all that were very excited, and why not? But they were in it, my friend. They were in it to win it. Because remember, he was just outside that battle, the top 5. So 6 drivers that we had, those leaders at the time. So he still put those laps down, was still feisty and pasty. He was actually slowly starting to catch him in it. And just luckily avoided that incident, didn't enter that turn 3. And just enough to get it done, and then of course he had the battle with Kevin, both of them. So good job. But it's just got to be in it to win it, my friend. Here's your final results.
Yeah, final results coming up on the board here. Pedro Soares, Kevin Zwimstra. Again, they were just outside of the top 5 battle, and when the top 5 took themselves out, they took advantage there. Pedro Soares over Kevin Zwimstra for the win with Ludovic Rancon there, the French in P3, and then from there you do have Robert Ridgway and Mackenzie Roon. You have Rabillard in P6, Brent Ruiz in P7, Brent Ruiz and Tony Jimenez. That's the conversation for the post-race review. Sebastian Gravelin in P8, Chris Trott in P9. Tony Jimenez ended up finding P10 after that turn 3 contact. Adam Talsma in P11, Simon Fessy in P12, P13 was Andy Flint, Eddie Amos, Marcus Artlovs, and Oscar Arciano, all up 14 places on the day for P14, 15, and 16 respectively. Evan Way and P18, Gebhardt, and P18 up 13 places on the day. Big run there. Dennis Cornu up in P19, Nick Cardy in P20, Don Lee in 21st, Costas Tenbrell in 22nd, and Scatini in 23rd, Carvajal in 24, Andre found P25, Marcelo Keebler in P26, Nicholas Vestman, Lee Aberdeen, Angelo Velos, Patrick Williams, Clark Williams, Zoltan Zamotor, Manuel Animal, and Kuji being your final 34 finishers here today, of course, with the Japanese driver of Kuji not taking to the race start, and everyone else running through with varying degrees of success. But that, tell you what, iGPFun, they make it fun to commentate.
That they do. Thank you very much for doing that as well. We don't do interviews, I think, because some of the drivers are absolutely usually exhausted after it, and probably some of the drivers don't have the best English, even though I don't have the best English, but that's also some of the reasons. So, yes, my friend, Austria always produces, does it not, Brad?
Yeah, Austria is, I mean, such a good track. It's a track that I enjoy running. I enjoy hot lapping it. It's a track that is deceptively simple but produces absolute fireworks. And of course, the 4th of July here in the US coming up. So fireworks very appropriate for this weekend as we go through Biggles. But any final thoughts before we sign this one off?
I'd have to say just good racing. Just a shock, isn't it? And chat as Doodly and stuff like that would say, oh no, just a shock, isn't it? For just not even a racing incident or a driver just absolutely spins it, just as we saw during qualifying with Lee, loses on that notorious top of the hill turn 3, causes a big pile up. Some of the drivers get back in there, had to do some repairs, and some of the other drivers did. But the Portuguese Pedro Soares completely took advantage of that one and wins the race.
Yeah, and sometimes that's just what you have to do, is you just got to take advantage and go through. Absolutely love it. But, of course, that is going to round us out here this week here in Austria on the JP Broadcasting Network. Be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bells, do all the fun things that you can do on YouTube to support us here for free. We got plenty of action coming up in the next week here on the JP Broadcasting Network. And, of course, next week will be another round of IGP at the same time here on the same place. But on behalf of Dean Hopton, Mr. Biggles, who has been bringing you all of the beautiful, beautiful camera work, my name is Bradley Dalton, and we've taken you start to finish here today. Be sure to join us on the next one, where we'll take you start to finish yet again. Good night.